Hey, what's going on, guys? Sit down, pop in those headphones. It is time for a new episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcast partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes. She is the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, the excellence of execution when it comes to wrestling podcasting. She is Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend?
I don't think I can top that now. I think that's
That
it.
was that
That was
was
a good
pretty
one.
good, right? Like I like the way
Yeah,
that flowed. It went really good off
like
the dome too.
literally, that was really good day. I can't follow that, so I'll just leave. But no, not doing too bad. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. Just pushing through. For some reason, I had a really bad bout of insomnia last night, so I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep. So if
Phew.
if I say anything crazy, please don't hold it against me.
That's the disclaimer. Is that some of
Yeah.
us were sleepy.
Yes, it's some of us are very sleepy. For the new listeners out there, because there are plenty of new listeners that we've gotten in the past week. For those that don't know, the Ringside Rundown podcast is a pro wrestling podcast where Shay and I answer questions that are sent in to us by our listeners about everything that's going on in pro wrestling. And this week in particular, I feel like we jinxed ourselves because the past 2 weeks we were
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so awesome. We got like 15, 18 questions. We're done within an hour and a half. Guess what happens this week?
It's a lot.
We have about 32 questions to get through, so we're not gonna speed through them, but I won't go crazy. Even though I know we have a question about Chris Jericho and the learning tree, I'm gonna try to keep it contained. Gonna
Yeah.
try to keep my ranting under about 5 minutes so that we don't go crazy, because again, it's 32 questions. But again, you know us, we want to try to get to everyone. We want to make sure everyone gets a chance to ask their questions and be a part of what we do here.
Yes, and also because you need to get some sleep because you did not get much sleep, so we need to get you to bed as soon as possible.
We're gonna try, but we're gonna start the show off very, very interestingly, because we're gonna change up the format, and there's a reason why. The day before yesterday, I launched the official Ringside Rundown Discord server. For those that don't know what Discord is, it's basically like a really thought out message board. Think about the message board idea when it comes to professional wrestling. So think of Discord servers as a huge message board. Now within the message board, you can divide it up into what they call channels for different topics that you want to cover. So in our Discord server that we just launched, there's everything from a section for each individual WWE and AEW show and pay-per-view. There's a section for non-WWE and AEW wrestling. There's even a section for other wrestling content creators to plug their work and maybe link up with other wrestling content creators to come up with content on their own. I mean, it's a whole big deal. There's literally like 25, 26 different sections within the Discord server. It just launched, and already people are joining in, asking questions for the show and things like that. Now, when it comes to the Discord link, unfortunately, it's not one of those where we could just go discord.gg ringside rundown. It's kind of jumbled with letters. So again, I'll plug in our social media links and where you can find it, and also let you know at the end of the show, if you want to join the Discord server, how to get in touch with me and get that invite link. But we're going to take you into the Discord server at the moment, and the first two questions are going to be my responsibility this week.
Yeah, flipping the
Yeah.
script.
So of course, you take the guy running on 2 hours of sleep
Yeah,
and
no.
and you make him start the show with some questions. And these two are brand new members of our Ringside Rundown community in our Discord server. So shout out to these two people, these two wonderful, wonderful people. And they have some really excellent questions. First question comes from my good friend that I met through streaming on Twitch. His name is Vape Night. You can follow him on Twitch, twitch.tv/Vape Night 123. And his question for us is, he wants to know, who do we think is the greatest wrestler from every era in our opinion? Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's it's not, I don't want to say that's like a broad question. It's a very complex question
Yeah.
because wrestling's been around for over a century. There's many different decades. So I kind of broke it down to the four most prominent eras that I thought make up professional wrestling, which is the golden age of professional wrestling within the WWE, basically when I was an infant, and
Yeah.
Shay wasn't even thought about.
Yeah. I was negative years old.
Yeah, the attitude era, the ruthless aggression era, and then finally the current era that we are in, that I like to call the Renaissance era. So, I know, like I said, you weren't around for the golden age of wrestling during the late 80s, early 90s part of WWF. But from what you do know and understand, who would you say was the number one guy from that era?
Oh, like the 80s, 90s, it's tough because you could almost make an argument for both decades. Um, I'm gonna say, uh, this is gonna hurt to say
I
probably.
know what you're gonna say because I know exactly why you said that.
It's so annoying because it's like you kind of have to separate the person from. I
No,
hate the whole art from the artist bullshit,
yeah, I
but
was literally having a conversation with someone about that same cliche saying today.
it's got to be Hogan,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah,
Like
it,
maybe you could slightly make an argument for Flair, but I feel like he was more like 70s, 80s. But
yeah, yeah, he's more 70s, early 80s. I mean, late 80s and 90s, he still had some pretty big matches, but the bulk of, Ric Flair being Ric Flair was definitely during that time period. And I have to agree with you. I would go Hogan as well for the golden age.
as much as that hurt, but
Yeah, it really hurt, especially currently in our current times.
yeah,
It stung. It stung very
yeah,
much so to say that. And it
yeah,
hurts me too because Hogan was the guy that, when I was introduced to wrestling, he was like the first guy I saw. And
yeah,
as a literal toddler, my mom said I was completely obsessed with Hulk Hogan. So,
yeah,
so yeah, to find out who he really is as a person, really stung, really stung.
yeah.
All right. So next up, who do you think was the number one person from the Attitude Era?
I mean, is the only answer I feel like Stone Cold.
There you
Like
go. There you go.
I mean, if it, and the worst part is you can make it even worse if you like based on wrestling ability, which if that's the case, then it would not be him, but it was just his persona just kind of outgrew anything that had to do with just actual wrestling ability to begin with. So
Right, right, right.
yeah, because
And
you could
that
say The Rock maybe, but it's got to probably be Austin.
Right, and the thing is, with your that same argument can apply to The Rock as well. I
Yeah,
mean, The Rock was never the most polished, physical from a physical aspect. He was never the
no,
most polished wrestler, but it was his charisma and the way he created the character of The Rock, similar to how Stone Cold became Stone Cold. Their character put him on another level that their wrestling ability didn't even matter.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
so yeah, my choice was also Stone Cold, and then obviously another easy one, the ruthless aggression era. I'm pretty much I can guarantee you're probably going to say the man that kind of not coined the phrase
Hmm.
ruthless aggression, but made it a tagline.
Cena,
Yep.
like. I think you could also again maybe make an argument for Kurt Angle too, but
That's an interesting one. Yeah, you're right. You're right because Kurt Angle, the bulk of his best WWE work came around that time, and that
mhm.
was kind of his whole shtick too. Same thing with Cena. The whole, I'm the one actually bringing the ruthless aggression.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like if you go star power and just popularity, it would have to be Cena, obviously. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
and now that brings us to this current era that we are in. I do feel like this is an era. I don't feel like after the ruthless aggression era dissipated and we got into the doldrums of 2019 and everything,
we
like
gotta talk
that
about
was an
that.
era, that was like a dark age of
Yes.
WWE wrestling.
Yeah.
So but there's this era currently, I like to call it the Renaissance era, and a lot of people like to call it the Triple H era, which makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense. But for me, this current era kicked off the night of SmackDown at the end of the show, where Adam Pearce gave the contract to Roman Reigns for his title match, and
Yeah.
he was seated right next to the manager of his arch nemesis, his biggest rival, Brock Lesnar, and
Hmm.
Paul Heyman. To me, that story, when it happened, that moment when it happened, nobody saw it coming.
No.
And in my head, I'm like, okay, everything has just changed. When
And
when
it did.
yeah, when it came to WWE wrestling, that moment right there, from that moment, it was like the rocket ship took off, you know?
Yeah.
So with that said, in terms of who I think is the man when it comes to the Renaissance era, I'm giving it to the tribal chief Roman Reigns.
Yeah. I also, with a very close second place, I think Seth Rollins, just in a case of
Ooh,
consistency. But
well, that's an interesting one because I feel like a lot of people would probably say, Cody Rhodes, you know?
could be, but he didn't. He wasn't there fully for the Renaissance era, I don't think, or he wasn't really like catching steam. But I
Yeah,
feel like,
yeah,
again, like kind of like you with seen in the Ruthless Aggression era, Reigns kind of kicked off the whole Renaissance era. So I feel like, again, there it's sad how obvious it can be, but that as the decades go on, it's a little easier to pick other ones too. But yeah, it's got to be Roman for this era because hopefully we are. I mean, as of this recording, we can't say as of the posting, we are almost a week and a half away from probably one of the biggest returns of all time if
yeah,
everything goes well. But
yeah. I think I want to see how this return, if it happens, is going to stack up against CM Punk's return from November.
yeah, we'll have to. I think we actually do have a question about that at some point, but
Uh,
maybe
all right.
somewhere, maybe somewhere. I don't know. I might have lost it, but
Yeah, yeah. This was a great question. Shout out to Vape for the question. It was a very thought
yeah,
provoking question, a fun way to kick off the show.
yeah, very good, mate.
Yeah, and then we have another question from a new member from our Discord server, Riz. She's awesome. She actually found me on TikTok.
Ah,
I
nice.
simply hit her up and let her know about the Discord, and she's been awesome. She's been so active and so enthusiastic about what we're doing and wrestling in particular that it's awesome to meet her. Her question is, what are our SummerSlam hopefuls? Now, this is an interesting question because it's not predictions. So it's
No.
not asking, predictions based on booking, logic, anything like that. The question is, what is our hopefuls, which is basically who do we want to see win?
Well, my two of mine are very easy, and I feel like she's also in the same boat. I want Damien to win and keep the title, and I want Rhea to beat Liv.
Yeah.
One of them I feel like is more likely than the other. Like obviously, like if we're going storyline, I feel like I don't know. I just have this feeling that it's more likely that Damien retains than Rhea winning the title
Mm.
for reasons that we will talk about later because I think we got at least two or three questions about it. But yeah, in a perfect world, um Damien retains, Rhea wins, and the Judgment Day lives happily ever after, and there's no more drama, which we know
Aw-
is not going to happen. But
awesome, awesome.
and I also my also SummerSlam hopeful is I don't die of heat stroke while I'm there.
Isn't it funny? It's like you go to WrestleMania, you almost get hypothermia. You go to
Yes.
SummerSlam, you're gonna get heat stroke.
I'm just like, as we're doing this, I'm just checking the weather just to see what it's saying so far. And obviously, they're not gonna have like the full forecast, but in a perfect world, it's not gonna be fucking hot. It's looking like so far high of 84, low of 73, which we can maybe deal with that as long as that chance of afternoon thunderstorms doesn't happen. But we'll see how that changes. But
Yeah,
in a perfect world, I'd like to be comfortable and watch SummerSlam and not die.
I agree. I agree. Now I'm looking at the card and the matches you mentioned. Like the card is pretty good so far. I don't know if they're
Yeah,
going to add anything to it. The
maybe
card is,
kickoff.
yeah, yeah. Because the kickoff is like 3 hours or something like that. This,
Yeah,
yeah, it starts at 4 o'clock instead of like 5 or 6.
great.
So yeah, it's gonna be extra long. There, the whole card is great, and every match has a big story to it. And it's more so the stories that we both are most invested in. I got to go with the Damian Priest, Gunther, and Rhea Liv. Um, But and CM Punk, Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Um,
gonna be wild.
yeah, I think my hopeful would be that CM Punk wins and
Yeah.
AJ Lee makes an appearance.
Oh, that would be fun. I would love that.
Yeah.
Oh, and Larry.
Yeah,
And Larry.
and Larry, but make sure there's no pyro because we don't want a Pharaoh situation.
Oh, yeah, no, we can do
Uh,
that. Jesus. Please.
so, but that would be dope. Could you imagine if
Oh.
like AJ Lee distracts Drew McIntyre, CM Punk wins, they go to celebrate and she's carrying Larry with her at the top
Yeah.
of the stage. That would be insane.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah, I think that's my number one hopeful is that actually happens, that CM Punk defeats Drew McIntyre with the help of AJ Lee.
I hope some of this at least happens, and we can be like, "See, we hopeful and it happened," but
Well, we do have that distinct ability to do that. Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know,
Just go back to Clash of the Castle. We called that months before that even happened.
exactly.
So
So yeah, we're definitely keen to doing that. But again, shout out to Riz, shout out to Vape Night, newest
yeah,
members in our Discord server that we just launched a couple days ago. And it's just really cool to actually see people excited about what we do, because as soon as I launched it, like a bunch of follows from different platforms started piling in, and then on top of that, speaking of like social media, last week Zelina Vega
yeah,
reposted one of my clips, and then I looked last night and freaking Carlito reposted my
yeah.
clip, and it's just like,
It's
what that?
wild.
Yeah, it's like, what is going on? These people know I exist.
It's like we're doomed. We
Yeah,
can't hide anymore.
yeah, it's like we got to watch what we say now, because as they say, the streets are watching.
All eyes are on this podcast at all times.
There you go. So again, shout out to Vape and Riz. Thank you guys for the questions, and also check out our newly launched official Discord server where you can communicate and meet other wrestling fans without fear of tribalism or people trying to boost their social media engagement. That's not really how Discord works. It's simply a tool to build an actual community and talk wrestling. So it's pretty cool. And I'll definitely be posting the link to the Discord server for you guys to join.
Yes, come check it out.
All right. And now we're back to our regularly scheduled format with you taking control of the questions.
You're like, I'm tired of this.
I'm
Your
done.
turn.
I'm already done. Again, I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. What do you expect from me?
See, that was funny. Like we had 32 questions. I'm like, all right, you're running on 2 hours of sleep. Take 2 questions. I'll take the rest of them. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
What a team player you are.
I'm just taking one for the team. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go maybe not lightning round, but we're not gonna go like slow either. So we're gonna start with Mike's questions first. Is there a more dislikable purely on how they look tag team than Out the Mud right now? Those two look like pricks you'd see in real life. I could be wrong, but they seem like the most easy to hate out of any team I've seen. Yeah. It's pretty. They just have those that just look that you want to just like punch them in the face.
Right, which is good if they're heels.
Yeah.
If they're bad guys, that's what you want. I think for me, the reason they give me that feeling is because like they're cocky, which they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it's like, for me as a smart idiot wrestling fan, I'm like, you guys are greener than goose shit. Like you have no reason to be cocky. Like there are some flaws, but again, that happens. They I don't believe they come from a pro wrestling background. They're much like all the other new people that come to NXT and that end up being great at this is because of the facility and having those instructors. So I have no fear that they have the potential to be great. I will say I don't know his name. I think it's Lucian. But I could be wrong. That guy freaks me the fuck out.
A little bit.
Yeah, that guy freaks me the fuck out. His facial mannerisms and the way he moves around in the ring. He moves around in the ring like he's some like ogre beast. Like from like one of those medieval fantasy video games like Skyrim or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the one thing when I was watching them I think a couple weeks ago was like, that guy's weird. He freaks me out.
Kind of like how Dutch freaks me out with the tongue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
It
is
gets me every
weird.
time. I
That
can't.
is weird.
I hate it. I hate it so much. But yeah, I think I would. It'd be safe to agree with Mike on that one that they are very easily dislikable.
Yes.
Alrighty, so these two I can squish together here. So Roxanne mentioning Stephanie Vicaire and Julia, they got to be debuting soon, right? I
Yeah,
would think so.
I would hope so. The plan was, I believe, from what I read, that everybody else can read. So again, don't blame me if I was wrong.
Yeah,
Was that Julia was supposed to debut at Heatwave,
yeah,
and she ended up hurting her wrist on in that debut Marigold match.
which is
So
what we've talked about before, and like doing stupid shit like that. It's like, what did you expect to happen? But
yeah, exactly. So but again, the main thing is, I'm not even like, oh, these girls have to debut right now. Like, I need them
no,
right now. Of course, I'm excited for it. I just know that when they do debut, for me, I'm getting the feeling that the entire game is going to change.
yeah, and I think it's that build up too of like, okay, we know they're there. We
Hmm.
know they're showing up at some point. When are they showing up? It's just that anticipation of like you don't even have to make a vignette. Everybody knows they're there.
Right, right,
Everyone knows they're showing up. It's just that like sitting on pins and needles of like, damn it, Sean, when are you gonna bring them in?
right,
And he'll know when to do it. He's not stupid. So
right, right. And the one thing is, like, as I mentioned earlier before, like, a lot of the people in NXT right now, they don't come from a wrestling background, which at first we thought that was going to be a detriment. It actually is not a factor whatsoever.
no.
But with the quality of talent that Julia and Stephanie possess, girls
Mm,
like Kalani Jordan,
yep.
Sol Ruka,
Oh, I can't
all
wait.
those girls that don't come from that wrestling background that are
Yeah.
really, really good right now, they're really, really good right now, but they're even going to have to step up their game even more to be able to hang with Julia and Stephanie. Because the one thing you don't want is, you don't want a glaring sort of gap between those wrestlers and these wrestlers. You want the whole
Yeah.
synergy, because without the synergy, the whole thing doesn't work.
Yeah, and then it's kind of downhill from the less experienced one because then you're just like, oh, you're just getting dog walked right now, and it is
Exactly.
obvious.
It's not a good look if you're a newbie.
No, no, you want to have the best impression possible, and I think with two wrestlers like Julia and Stephanie, I don't think you're gonna have to worry about it. And like you
Right.
said, the way these NXT women's wrestlers are right now, they'll be fine.
Right.
Everything will be fine, and
Right.
it'll be great to see.
Right, but once Stephanie locks in that leg lock where she mashes your skull into the mat
It's
with her
over.
legs, it's a wrap. I feel
It's
so bad
over.
for these girls.
Oh,
Could you
I
imagine a gymnast coming off of Olympic performance, and she wants to try WWE
and
wrestling?
they're like, hey, guess what?
we're
Here,
putting
try
you
this.
we're putting you in with an actual fucking beast of a wrestler.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
But no, I need to see Stephanie Vicaire and Sol Ruka.
Woo!
Like, I
Oh,
need to see it
woo.
at some point.
Shay's cooking right now.
Just give it to me. Just give it
Yeah.
to me. I will pay all the money for it.
Listen, if a wrestler like Stephanie Vacker can go out and dog walk Mercedes Monet on
Hmm.
pay-per-view,
Yeah, yeah. Imagine
yeah,
what you could do to everybody else.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's gonna be wild. Um, Following up to that question, do either of those two listed beat Camille to debut? I think both of them will, honestly, at this point. Like,
Oh my god, what the I don't
I don't know what's going on.
the Camille Brickhouse situation makes no sense to me,
No.
because you put Camille Brickhouse on your wrestling program, you basically print easy money.
Yeah, literally. Like you could we've said it 5,000 times. Her is Mercedes like muscle. Come
Oh,
on.
it would have been so good. It would have been fantastic. If she would have went to NXT, which the rumor was she wasn't too keen about that idea. Could you
Yeah.
imagine her being the muscle heavy for Roxanne Perez?
See, she hindsight's 2020. Imagine what could have happened, but
She would have been rocking and rolling right now. She
now you're sitting at home.
Yeah, she could have been a part of this whole NXT TNA collaboration.
Yeah.
Imagine if we would have got Jordan Grace Camille
Oh,
Brickhouse.
oh, sign me the fuck up for that.
Like, oh my God, All
Nope.
Elite Wrestling, what are you doing?
What are they doing? Could
It's
ask a lot of. We can ask them that a lot of times, but
It's like the black sheep of the family that you're really, really close with, but they keep
yes.
doing dumb shit, and you're like, "What are you
Yeah.
doing?"
It's like, "Can you just stop disgracing the family,
Like,
please?"
"Yes,
Like,
I love you. Please stop."
"Please stop it, you're embarrassing us."
Yes.
Literally, but yeah, at this rate, God only knows when Camille's showing up, if they even remember they hired her at this rate, because I think they might have forgotten, but
Oh my god, like they forget people at the airport
yeah, twice.
twice.
It's like, "Guys, what the fuck are you doing?" So the ending of Braun and Ilya, was it real or was it a work?
To me, as again as a smart wrestling fan, the one thing I noticed was the referee didn't throw up the X.
Yeah, I think it was a work.
Yeah, so it was a work. I mean, it was smart because nobody expects to have a TKO finish in a wrestling match. You
Yeah,
know,
and to have to knock out someone like Ilya Dragunov,
right?
it takes a lot, and if that was the point, is to be like, "Oh shit, Sammy's really in trouble, isn't he?" Then there you go.
Right,
That
and,
was it.
and it was perfect because Braun didn't dog walk Ilya. Ilya
No.
at in the beginning was like, "Yo, what the hell's going on?" Ilya is kind of taking it to Braun, and Braun's kind of caught off guard, and then Braun came back, and everything happened. So the actual match was still as physical as you expected when they announced the match. It probably was even more. It was a great match, and then it gave you a finish that you weren't expecting. You
Yeah.
expected, again, we predicted even before Money in the Bank that this was going to be the rematch at SummerSlam and possibly the moment that Braun wins the title. But the way they got there, you know,
Yeah.
they didn't make Braun invincible to someone like Ilya, but they still made him out to look like a monster.
Yeah, and I think the reason why people are kind of questioning the ending of that match might have to do a little bit with the Hikaru Shida Sky Blue match, because
Oh, that's a good. I didn't even think about that.
yeah, because I'm just like, we just experienced this in reality a few
Right.
days before that, and I'm just like, oh, I felt so bad. Poor Sky. Like,
Oh yeah, broken ankle is not good because
no.
anytime it's with the foot area, like the ankle, the Achilles,
Hmm.
those injuries in terms of what professional wrestlers do are the hardest injuries to come back from.
Just ask Adam Cole.
Adam Cole, Athena,
Yeah.
when she ruptured her Achilles, you know, it's the hardest injury for an athlete to recover from and get back to what they do as an athlete. And it sucks because man, to me, Sky Blue is one of the most underrated talents in the AEW women's roster.
Yeah.
So to have the setback, I know she's gonna be fine. She's good. She's young. She still has her best years ahead of her in her career. She's building up a portfolio and a resume that is really good. I mean, simply put, if you want to put a women's hardcore match that is not typical in wrestling these days, but
Yep.
AEW does a lot of times they put Sky Blue in those matches and she
Yeah.
fucking kills it every single time.
Because she does not give a shit. Like, I've
She
listened to
really
some of
doesn't.
because I've literally listened to some of her interviews, because I think I was listening to her unrestricted from AEW from like last year or a couple years ago, and she was literally talking about, I think she was in like the ring with Billy Gunn or something, like practicing a match or something, and she's like, "Well, what if we do this? What if we do that?" And he's like, "Okay, you don't need to do all that." Like,
Yeah, yeah,
so she's pretty reckless in a good way, where
yeah.
it's just like she is willing to, like, hey, do you want to get pushed off the top of a cage onto a
Right.
table? She'd be the one to do it.
She's as reckless as Darby Allen, but she knows how
Yes.
to be safe.
Yes. He's just like, oh, you want me to slam my face head first into a wall? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
You want me to increase the probability of me dying? Okay, yeah, sure.
You want to
Yeah.
set me on fire? I don't need the flame retardant like
Yeah,
liquid.
yeah,
Just set me on
exactly.
fire. It's
Just send
fine.
me on fire. It's great.
Yeah.
But speaking of Darby Allen, that promo that he cut after his match with
Oh,
Mordos was probably his best promo I've ever heard.
oh yes. It's just
It-
like, oh, this blood and guts match is on. Like, it
mhm,
is on.
mhm.
It was insane. It was just wild. But to go back to the actual question, yeah, I don't think it was real. I think they just had to make Braun, as if people didn't think he was legit enough to knock out someone like Ilya Dragunov. It's like, oh,
Right.
this is a problem for
R-
Sami Zayn, and
Yeah. So
yeah,
actually, the idea of the match being stopped was a positive.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe not for Ilya, but for
Yeah.
everything else. This is the one's gonna hurt. So with Dominic kind of, popping off on Liv on
Uh,
Raw. Does this pretty much cement the fact that he screws Rhea over at SummerSlam, and is this the end of the Judgment Day?
I don't.
Ugh,
If it's the end of the Judgment Day, that would suck because
I'm gonna cry. I may cry. Like, let's not.
yeah, because this is the moment. Because remember, think about when the Judgment Day first started
Yeah.
to where they are now. The Judgment Day now is a cool faction, pun intended, even with Carlito in the mix.
Even with him there, but yeah, it's like you
Yeah,
want to be a part of the Judgment Day. Like,
yeah. And to me, the semantics of the Judgment Day is so interesting. You have two Puerto Ricans, two
mhm.
Irishmen, an Australian woman, and a Mexican.
Yeah, it's
It's
just it's just a like motley crew of
yeah,
people, like,
it's the United Nations of wrestling factions,
but cooler.
and way infinitely cooler.
Yeah,
Like everybody in that group, even that big head JD McDonough is
yeah,
cool. Like JD McDonough is the goof that's kind of funny, you
yeah. It's
know?
like, yeah, I guess we'll just keep him around. He's
Yeah,
funny,
and then
but
Carlito has no concept of guy code.
no, no. And he acknowledged that clearly. He
Yeah,
saw your video, so
yeah.
he knew.
Yeah, it
He's
was
like, my bad.
yeah, it was the most egregious thing I've ever seen. It just keeps getting worse and worse with him violating the guy code every week.
Yeah, it's just I Triple H loves to do this thing though, where he will make something so blatantly obvious that you actually start like overthinking it and talking yourself out of it.
Yeah, he
Where
does it
it's
on purpose.
like,
Yeah, he does that on purpose.
so is it almost like oh, there's just no way that he's actually sticking with Rhea. He's gonna screw her over. What if he actually doesn't? What if he follows through with it?
I mean, he can, but like,
But it's also like, but you could also see him turning on Liv or turning on Rhea because Liv's corrupted him in some way or
right,
whatever. Or maybe he's just feeling like she's holding him back or something. Like, no one takes me seriously because I'm like your sidekick. I'm not like, we're not
right,
equals. So it's like
right.
I could see that maybe where it's like Liv made me realize that I could be my own person. I'm not like
Exactly.
your sidekick, but
Yeah.
oh,
The
it's gonna make me mad. I'm gonna be so mad. Like,
Mhm.
it's
to to
oh
your
god.
point, the way I see it is Liv makes Dom feel like a man, you know?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. This is gonna hurt. I
Yeah,
hate
with
this.
Rhea, he's more so Rhea's pet.
Yeah,
And granted, any other man would love to be in that position.
yeah.
You gonna tell me
Same.
Rhea Ripley's gonna lick me on the cheek?
Like,
Sign me up. Sign me up.
like just watching that, I'm just like,
I was like, brother,
why couldn't
I
it
would have,
have been me?
yeah,
Like,
I would have melted. I would have melted. Like
oh no,
I,
it's just
I had a moment like our truth. As soon as that was happening in my head, I was like, I don't even think that's PG. But like,
it's not, but
yeah,
it's fine.
but she licked that boy. She like, and then
Yeah,
like, I hate this idea. But imagine if you're like Buddy Murphy or you're like Dom's wife, his real life wife,
yeah.
and they didn't clue you in on the story of what's gonna
Oh
happen.
God, could you imagine?
If it,
Oh,
if that was me, I'm super secure. So a lot of the things that they've been doing, I wouldn't even bat an eye at. But
yeah.
if I was Buddy and I saw that, I would have been like, hey yo, like I'm
Like,
sending a
what's
text.
going on?
Yeah, I'm sending a text like,
Yeah.
hey, like what's that? But
What the fuck's
again,
that?
yeah, but again, it's a stupid idea that's in my head because if you look at like Rikishi's been very vocal
Eh,
about disliking the idea of using Jay in the angle,
eh,
and
whatever.
my thing is like nobody goes to Al Pacino or I don't know Zach Efron or something like that and say, how dare you kiss your co-star that's playing your wife in this movie? Are you trying to ruin
Yeah,
your marriage? Like that.
yeah,
Jay Uso is an entertainer,
yeah,
and not only that, Rikishi, but your son is potentially gonna be involved in the hottest angle going in WWE right now
yeah.
because my fantasy booking idea is Dom turns on Rhea to align himself with Liv, and Jay swoops in to stand up for Rhea, and we have Rhea Jay versus Dom and Liv, and it's like that's brilliant TV
I'll take it.
in terms of what would happen on Raw to build this up into maybe a pay-per-view match. A
Yeah, maybe
pay-per-view.
Bad Blood.
Yeah, oh, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
At Bad Blood, a mixed tag match.
Yeah. See? Yeah.
Absolutely, and it fits the whole Bad Blood
Oh,
motif.
yes.
You know,
Oh, yes.
if that's the direction that they're going, again, Triple H is head and shoulders levels above anybody else that's doing this thing right now.
Yeah. Like, not even close. I
Not
mean,
even
is it gonna hurt my soul to see Rhea lose in person? Yes. But
close. Yeah,
I'm still Team Rhea. I don't care. I have a couple friends.
yeah.
We've talked about it. They're like, "No, we're Team Liv." I'm like, "Screw you guys. I'm still Team Rhea. I don't care."
I,
Like,
I'm Team Rhea, but Liv
I'm
did
still
that.
not expecting her to win.
Yeah, because again, the idea that title changes quickly, title reigns end quickly is not really the mo for what WWE tries to do now. So they could
No.
do it to swerve us, but I don't see it happening. Uh,
But then the story is not really all there then. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not like it goes back to the whole instant gratification thing. Liv didn't win the title right away, so why should Rhea? Like,
right, right,
there's
yeah,
the chase. Like, you hate people. And I see what they were doing. I mean, like, real quick side, but I know what they were doing on Raw where they were trying to get people on Rhea's side. So I see why they had Liv go, like, well, most like handsome men don't go for people like you. I'm like, ugh. I like
yeah.
sat there for a minute. I'm like, oh, this is like Divas era shit. I don't know if I like that, but
Yeah, and somebody made that argument on Twitter. I saw a little while ago, but somebody had a great counter argument to that. When it came to the over sexualization of divas, the divas had no say
yeah,
in what was going on. It was Vince McMahon wants it done this way, and you do it this way, or you're not going to have a job.
yeah,
With everything now, it's like there is a sexualization aspect of it, but the women are in control of their
hmm,
own sexualization. You
yeah,
know, it's their empowerment. They
yeah.
choose how far they want to take it. Liv, I mean, Rhea licking Dom's face takes it far. Liv doing that little twirl
Oh, oh.
made my brain go dumb. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I feel that.
and
I'm
then I
just
had to
like,
snap back because I remember her in that Red Sox jersey, and I was like, ugh, Rhea
and
all
you're
day.
like, no, fuck that. You're like, no, fuck that. But also, well, I think I was also like a little biased too and mad because I'm like, oh well, you don't. They don't go for the gothic like alternative girls. Well, fuck you. Like,
Yeah,
as someone who has 11 tattoos and like wears black all the time
right.
and is just like not
Yeah.
like girly girl. I'm like, oh fuck you, Liv. Whatever. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's the
was
same.
mad. I'm like, whatever.
It's the same feeling I got when Gunther, which we'll talk about later, when
Oh
Gunther
yes.
called Damian Priest street trash. You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
You're like
I,
ready to fight him.
yeah, I'm like,
Like,
hey, yo, like he comes from where I come from. And I'm not street trash. You
yeah.
big galoof that can beat the hell out of me.
You're
Like,
like, I'm gonna square up to you in my mind.
yeah, exactly. In my mind, I'm messing you up. In real
In
life,
reality,
I'm calling Damien because I
yes.
got it in thanks to Carlito
Yeah.
reposting my stuff. I got it
Yeah.
in with the Judgment Day. So de facto, I'm in the Judgment Day now. All
Yeah.
rise.
And then by de facto, I am also on the Judgment Day because we're
Yeah, I'm
partners.
bringing
So
you along.
that's fine. Just let me talk to Rhea. It's fine.
Yeah, we're a package deal.
Yeah, exactly. So we're in the Judgment Day now. It's fine.
We're in the Judgment
Um, so this is a very easy question. Is Josh Alexander now the most hated man in TNA? Yes.
easily.
Yes.
And TNA is the most hated company in wrestling right now. But
They had it
again,
right there. It was right
they
there though.
they did, but I mean, the buzz that they created is a positive thing. And you kind of have to look at it kind of like what they did with Cody at WrestleMania 39, right?
Maybe. I
I mean,
hope.
maybe because like TNA doesn't have that same sort of deal where they have like their own WrestleMania on that grand scale that they can revisit next time and Joe Hendry
Yeah.
gets his moment. But again, the chase is always better than obtaining the prize in wrestling.
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah. They
it's
just
always
suck.
it's always been like that. And then on top of that, Joe Hendry's really just auditioning to be on NXT anyway. So
At this
it's
rate, yeah.
yeah, you know, like
Yeah.
yeah, he's just auditioning to be on NXT. So
Still suck though.
yeah, I mean, but again, I think it was really smart because Moose was the champion going into the match, and it was an elimination match, and he got eliminated, not in the finish, but like right off the bat in the
Yeah.
beginning, guaranteeing that there was going to be a new champion. So I thought that was really smart. It's smart to put the belt on Nick Nemeth because he has star power to his name. It's basically like what AEW tried to do when they put the title on Jericho, because they thought it was going to, but it actually works with Nemeth because he's not old and washed up. But I'll
Yeah.
leave it. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So, oh boy. So rumors swirling with Bobby Lashley and MVP allegedly soon to be gone from the WWE. Would they go with Shelton and Ricochet and make a new Hurt Business to take on the Elite and AEW? I don't think so.
You don't think
And
so?
I just feel like that's like the easy choice because,
And that's exactly why they're going to do it.
and it's just like, AEW guys, you got to stop bringing these people in because you're gonna have the same problem.
Yeah,
But
that is a detriment, especially when they're doing cost cutting measures.
yeah,
Because again, they're basically in the red zone with this Warner Brothers deal, but it's not done whatsoever.
yeah, it's like, please don't fumble it at the 1 yard line,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, they're basically they're in the red zone close to the 1 yard line. It's just not set in stone. They had to do some cost cutting measures. I mean, doing the esports arena thing for the rest of the summer leading into All In, that is a brilliant move, because the
Yeah,
idea that it's smaller, it's more intimate, it added to the show. It made the show way better than what you would see on a Dynamite or a Collision before.
yeah,
It felt cooler, like it felt more underground, like it wasn't 10 an attempt to get 10-12,000 people. It was just like, let's pack at least close to 1,000 people in this little thing and have a good wrestling show. The lighting
yeah.
was great and everything. I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I'm glad they got rid of the Elton John gimmick. It just
I won't argue with you on that one, but I want to.
yeah, I mean, I get it. It's subjective. I'm not hating on you or judging you if you liked it.
I think it just grows on you some of us over
I
time.
think it did, because I didn't like this. It didn't give me that wrestling feel, but like it's one of those things that just sticks in your head when you hear
Yeah.
it.
Oh yes,
Like I didn't necessarily enjoy it, but I associated with it. But again, cost cutting measures, which is now they're finally starting to realize, oh, we have to put some brain power into our finances, even though our owner is like one of the richest people on the planet Earth. So it's
yeah,
just
we
like,
can't keep licensing out these $1 billion songs just for
right.
the
So
hell of it. So
don't expect to hear Final Countdown,
no,
nothing crazy. You're not gonna see, some big celebrity come through. Hopefully this forces AEW to stop looking at the bells and whistles to make their product better and
yeah,
focus on the wrestling to make their product better.
that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But speaking of AEW, the MJF versus Ospreay match. What are our thoughts on the length and the finish? All right, I'm gonna be completely transparent here.
Mhm.
I did not get to watch the full match, so I
Ooh,
cannot
ooh.
say. Yeah, I know it's been a wild week. I did the one spot I keep seeing though is the hidden blade from the outside and
Yeah.
all the memes it's created.
Yeah, I got a good clip of that one too.
It was wild. I fucking loved it. I was laughing at it for a solid like 5 minutes. I feel like I think the finish did what it was supposed to do because I got a lot of people like questioning like did they fuck it up, and
Mhm.
like everyone's talking about it now. So I don't think that's a problem. Um I think I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit when MJF won it and he immediately had the gas or like the oxygen mask again. I'm
Right.
like, are we gonna really do this every time you wrestle for more than 30 minutes? Like, come
Yeah,
on, like
yeah.
whatever. But
Just do the Japan gimmick where the young boys come in with the ice bags and they
or
ice
just
you
get a gurney, like just wheel you out of there in a
Right,
wheelchair or
right, yeah,
something. Like,
exactly. That would have been great. That would have
and
been great.
that he would have been the one to do that too. So it's like, dude, come on.
That would
But
have been perfect, actually.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, I did see the finish, which I'm like, I didn't have a. I mean, my mom had a problem with it. She was pissed because she
Oh,
loves Osprey, so she was mad.
right,
But but yeah, it's just like I think they did that so people would talk about it, and it
right,
worked because people are talking about it.
right.
So
I just did I I don't mind that it went almost the full 60. I thought the match was great. I thought it was really good. I mean, for some reason Osprey he only knows how to put on great 5-star matches.
Oh yeah.
It's just and it's not like he's like I'm forcing myself to try to at least put on a 5-star class. No, he just does what Will Ospreay does, and it turns out that way. I do think that if they would have cut it down to maybe like 45 minutes, they would have reached the desired effect, because in my mind, like, the match happened, the match was fantastic, it was a classic, definite match of the year for 2024. And the finish happened with the ring, which is great. To me, in my mind, the time thing was an aspect of them coming down to the wire, but in like, if you were to rank all the moments out, the time thing at the very end was like, okay, yeah, that was neat, but that
Yeah.
wasn't the bulk of like the story of the match that they went down to the wire. It was that they wrestled this long match, and MJF in the end cheated to win like a
Well,
dickhead.
and my thing is too, someone's got to figure out the whole diamond ring at this point, because it's just like it is so. At least for me, it is so fucking overused. Because
Right.
it's just like, of course he's gonna use it. Of course he's gonna use it. Like big fucking whoop. It's like, is everyone else that dumb that they just haven't figured out? Hey, maybe steal it beforehand so
That's a
he can't.
that's a genius idea. Could you imagine? Unfortunately, it probably won't happen because like Samoa Joe was written off TV. But could you imagine the three of them, Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata, stealing MJF's ring,
It'd be
or
great.
or the conglomeration,
Oh
Mark
God, what is it with
Briscoe?
that name?
I don't
I
know, but
still can't get that name.
I kind of love it because he goes on these long-winded tangents where he tries to use big words, and you're just like, wait, what happened? Like,
We're just like, what's going on? Like, what is happening?
yeah, it's so good.
It is. But yeah, from what I saw, I didn't have a problem with it. But
Yeah.
clearly, it seems like it's a you love it or you hate it kind of match. But that is wrestling in a nutshell, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, all right, so we need to control ourselves here with this
Uh,
next question. When Sammy Guevara returns, which I say big fucking whoop, but does he go to the learning tree or does he face away from Jericho? How are we booking him? Do I have to? I don't want to, but I mean, I
yeah,
have to for the
it's
sake of
like
this. But
it's definitely one of those situations. Is like, I can't even, and me and fantasy booking, it's just like,
yeah,
but for Sammy Guevara, that's kind of difficult because like, I don't think Sammy Guevara's missed.
not really. I keep forgetting he's there
Yeah,
until people are like, "Oh, he's close to returning." And
yeah,
I'm like, "Oh,
yeah.
yeah."
And this is not being me being a jerk. I literally have not seen any tweets or anything that say, "Man, I really miss Sammy Guevara."
Literally, because it's just like the guy just can't get out of his own goddamn way. So it's just
Right,
like,
right.
whatever. And it's like, and also the whole Jericho thing too. I'll save you the trouble. The whole Jericho thing, where it's just like, okay, it was so overdone and so overused, and like that friendship or whatever just sucked the life out of everybody. That it's just like, you know what, you guys can go away. It's fine. We don't
Yeah.
really need to see you again. So my fantasy booking is nothing, just
uh
nothing. Don't bring him back, but
right.
he will eventually. But it's just like I don't.
Um
It's just sad where it's just like I don't know because I don't care. That's the problem. Like
yeah, you're kind of like apathetic.
yeah,
Yeah.
like ugh.
Yeah, it's just and the thing is, like, my idea would be like he went away, he got suspended for the Jeff Hardy thing, and they could spin it to using an angle, but the thing was, it's not going to work because that's the
Mm-mm.
angle that Jack Perry is using.
Exactly. It'll
So
just be like, okay, guys, real original. Like
yeah, so he can't come back and use the aspect of AEW used me as a scapegoat to whatever reason like that. So
yeah,
he can't play the silent brooding type that's pissed off about something.
could be whiny, I
Y-
guess.
Yeah, but again, if he's returning, unless you're putting him in an angle where it's going to be a hot heel versus face angle, like bringing him back as a heel, like it's dangerous because you bring him back as a heel and his music hits, everybody's just gonna be like, oh
It's
fuck
like, oh
this guy. Yeah, exactly. Like, remember when they did that thing where they teased the big surprise and it ended up being Jinder Mahal?
yes, and everyone's just like,
Yeah,
oh.
yeah, it runs the risk of something like that. um I mean, you could probably set something up with him and MJF for the international championship. Um,
I guess.
and Jack Perry's the TNT champion, so you could do something there, like try to have the whole aspect of two young guns, Sammy sticking up for AEW. Um, and honestly, he could use that. He could be like, AEW sent me away because I was on a bad path. I was doing things the wrong way. AEW sent me away not to get rid of me, but they wanted me to get better in my own head,
Yeah.
and so I really love AEW for that, for not taking my chance away, but giving me a second chance to be better. So I'm going to stand up for AEW as best I can against the elite. So
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to do it. It kind of gives them goodwill for people who don't care about the outside of the ring drama with Sammy Guevara. They could look at it and go, well, he's standing up for AEW, and I like that, so I'm gonna cheer for him. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's literally the best I could
Oh
come
my
up with.
god. Like,
Yeah,
we tried.
yeah, we
I
tried.
mean,
Try.
well, you tried. You tried. I'm just like, I got nothing. So, all right. So this one I think is very easy. If Roman does come back at SummerSlam, which fingers crossed,
Mhm.
does he just show up at the top of the ramp to stare at Solo, or does he come down to the ring and speak to Solo?
I don't think he's gonna speak. No.
I think it's in the middle. I don't think he's gonna stand up at the ramp or up at the top of the like entrance ramp and stare at him. He'll come down to the ring,
Right.
but he won't say anything.
Right.
I don't think.
I think Cody's gonna beat Solo. I think we kind of gave our little fantasy booking for this earlier. I think
Yeah.
Cody's gonna beat Solo. The rest of the bloodline's gonna hit the ring, beat him down. Jimmy returns. Jimmy
Yeah.
returns, but the numbers are still too much. So then out comes Jay. His brother's back, and he's gonna fight for his brother. But again, the numbers are too great. The Bloodline 2.0 are just too strong. So they get beat down, and then all of a sudden Paul Heyman walks out to
Yeah.
not to music, but he just walks out, and
Mhm.
he's got this shit eating grin on his face, and
Mhm.
the crowd's going crazy because they know what's gonna happen,
Yeah.
and you wait about 2-3 seconds, and then Roman's music hits, and the fucking place will go crazy. He goes down there and he just starts Superman punching everybody in the face, right? He
Yeah.
lays them out, and the show ends with Cody and Roman doing a stare down. The show goes black.
Oh, see, funny because you actually answered. I think Mike's question after that is, would we have physicality between Roman and the Bloodline 2.0 quickly, or work a tenuous peace angle for a while? I don't think it would be like an uneasy peace for a while. I think it would be very intense.
No, yeah, there's no
I could see your way, but I could also see that like building the tension of, oh, he's gonna make Solo like crawl in his skin because he's just like, oh shit, when is he gonna like beat the shit out of me
right.
essentially, or just like walking on eggshells?
Mhm.
But your way works too though, where he
Yeah.
just like cleans house and it's just like, shit, what did we just watch?
I
Like,
the thing is, I could see it that way, where Roman's being more calculated rather than going for straight vengeance and violence, and I could see it that way. However, to me, it changed once they attacked Paul Heyman.
oh yeah, so you can't touch the
Yeah,
wise
you
man.
can't tell, because like, why would you? He's not a wrestler. He's an
No,
advocate. He's a 50-something-year-old pudgy man. Like,
who wasn't
yeah,
sleeping.
he's harmless. He's harmless, and the fact that you not only took him out, but the way that you took him out,
Mhm.
it was almost like the plot of John Wick. Like,
Yes.
they
Yep.
they
Don't kill the dog.
they killed the dog, and now they are fucked. So
Yeah.
it
Now it's on.
it would be good. uh, I would kind of combine the two, right?
Yeah.
I would have the epic stare down at the end of Roman and Cody after Roman saves Cody. No physicality between the two, just just them face to face. The
Yeah.
crowd going crazy in the background because they think something's gonna happen, and the show goes black. The next week on SmackDown, we don't even revisit that. It's straight Roman now wants vengeance against the new bloodline. you know.
Yeah.
And we'll go back to the Cody situation when it's necessary, but for right now, it's Roman wants vengeance against Bloodline 2.0, so he's going to integrate the reunited Usos. He may bring in Sami Zayn,
Hikaleo.
and then there's so many god
There's
dang
too many of them.
Samoans. They are literally like they just keep growing.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Do you know there's two more on the indies, right? That
Seriously.
yeah, that like literally less than 100 people know about, but they do exist.
Of course they do. Like, are we surprised? Like,
Like it's just it's
it's insane.
yeah, it's insane. But man, I'm just thinking about the moment he returns, and if you have that epic stare down between him and Cody, because again, maybe Brock Lesnar will go down as Roman Reigns' arch nemesis, biggest rival, but Cody
Eh.
gave Roman his best matches.
Oh yeah, that's not even an argument.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I would agree with that. So, it'll be very interesting to see how that ending of SummerSlam goes down because someone's gonna feel very vindicated or someone's gonna feel slightly disappointed. But
it,
it should be exciting either way.
it definitely should be.
Alrighty, can either of us make sense of what TNT Warner Brothers Discovery is doing? They exercised the match right they had for NBA with Amazon, but
Mhm.
almost every other article about Warner Brothers is that they're a mess financially. So, what does this mean for AEW? And should they look elsewhere or just get away from Warner? I think we already know the answer to that. They're not going anywhere. Like, that's easy.
Yeah, I think if they're trying to get the most money that they could get, I think they have to stick with the Warner's Brother deal. I mean, I'm not a financial savvy guy when it comes to
No.
business stuff like this. I don't know the semantics of what AEW is trying to get out of the deal and what Warner Brothers is trying to get out of the deal. The only thing I know is that I would like to see a deal get done so they have a home. And not only that, if they stay with Warner Brothers, there's a massive potential we can get AEW content on the Max streaming
Yes.
service, which I
Yeah.
have. But not only that, we could possibly move away from $50 pay-per-views to
Yeah.
hey, if you have Max, like you can get the pay-per-views. The potential's there. So as a consumer myself, I want to see them stay with Warner Brothers because it'll expand my reach to AEW and my pockets won't take such a big hit.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
You know,
A
so
100%.
yeah, so the thing is it's Warner Brothers. So like you look
Yep.
back at like the whole situation with WCW, and this is why that Vice little 4-part mini series,
Hmm.
I was skeptical because I was like, oh, they're just gonna it's gonna look like another Dark Side of the Ring spinoff. But
Yeah.
this little mini series was actually very informative, very enlightening. It was cool to see interviews with people that you usually don't see on wrestling documentaries talk about what's going on, like the executives
Yeah.
from Turner Sports and all that. I thought it was fantastic. The big thing is once that merger happened with AOL, shit really went awry, you know.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you don't want that situation to happen with AEW. So I wonder, like Tony Khan, is he directly handling the TV negotiations with Warner Brothers, which I don't know,
I feel like it would be.
you know, because if you look at like WWE, if they were to go into any sort of negotiations with the stuff, like Triple H is not going to be the guy handling the negotiations. That's Nick Khan's job.
Yeah.
So that's because WWE has a $1 billion corporate structure.
Yeah.
I don't feel like AEW has a corporate structure behind them, which
No, no, they don't.
which they probably should get. I
Yeah, so
I
Tony's not in charge of everything.
right. He needs to. He can't be a micromanager, and he has to surround himself with people that understand his goals and his mission statement and will not deviate from it. Because if they stay that way, they don't deviate from what Tony Khan's vision of AEW is. He doesn't have to worry about the decisions.
Yeah,
The people
exactly.
the people under him, much like they went the way it was with Vince McMahon, he had people under him, and in order to get through Vince McMahon, you had to go through those channels. You understand what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
there's a reason for that, because you know it's a $1 billion corporation. So I feel like if they had a structure like that, these negotiations would have gone a lot more smoother. We probably wouldn't even be talking about it right now. It probably would have been a done deal.
Yeah, exactly. It's just you need sometimes you can't control everything.
Yeah,
It's just
you
that's
just
it.
you can't. Like if I was running a business, like all my main employees would know this is how I want the business run. This is what
Yeah,
I expect of you. That way, if any of my other employees on the lower parts of the command chain have any issues, they know to go directly to them, and I know that person's going to handle it.
exactly. That was business 101 with
There,
us.
there you go.
You're welcome. So this question is going to be a little it's almost like we want to get away from this one as quickly as possible. Did Vince McMahon write the RNC the night of it with Linda, Hogan, Kid Rock, and Dana White? Why do most wrestlers gravitate to the Republican tilt? I don't get it at all.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's a cult.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
all it is. It's a cult.
in wrestling, keeping with wrestling, it was that sort of situation was brought up last night on stream while watching Raw, but it had to do with Kane,
Yeah.
and it was like, you know, Kane, he's the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. He's a smart man. Most people will say that the smartest man in the locker room during that time was Kane, was because he was the one going to guys like, hey, you got to get your taxes in order, get your
Yeah.
retirement finances in order, so that way when you leave wrestling, you have something and you're not, crippled and disabled and broke. And
Yeah.
he was a big advocate for financial literacy throughout the locker room. Daniel Bryan said that out of everyone he knows, he thinks Kane is the smartest man he's ever met. And it's very interesting because Kane has become this right-wing conservative grifter,
Yeah.
and Bryan Danielson is the most liberal of liberal tree-hugging environmentalist.
Yeah, you could say he's book smart, but he's common sense stupid.
Yeah, but that's a lot of people
Yeah,
in that space. So it's just in terms of that whole thing with Hogan and that was, I didn't watch any of it,
I didn't
and
either.
it was like I would see like 5-10 seconds of a clip, and I would just be like, man, fuck this. Like
It's a
this is,
joke.
yeah,
It's literally a joke where
it's
it's
yeah,
just like,
it really is. It feels like a kickoff party to a pay-per-view rather than a presidential election.
yeah, it's like it's only the fate of the country on the line. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's just be fucking stupid about it. But
Yeah, it's just like, and it's just, I
yeah,
mean, but it was just like,
why?
it was just like, damn, like, I know, like having Hogan there and him all of a sudden cutting a promo, I'm like, oh, this is just,
It's like, give me a break.
and then everything else that's been going on with the attempt and everything like that, that's a whole nother can of worms. This whole situation's been fucked from Jump Street, like, so,
It's a mess.
so it's just, yeah, I'm surprised Vince wasn't even there, like front row center.
Literally, I
Yeah,
thought he would have
he,
been,
he
but
would have been. That's his people, that's his kind of party. So like,
unfortunately, and you know what? You can keep that party. I
yeah,
want nothing to do with
I
it
want
at all.
nothing, absolutely nothing.
Bunch of cult members. That's all they are. Like, anyway, before this gets even worse, we're gonna go back to a more lighthearted, maybe a lighthearted question. Mike's last question: would you rather take a chop from Gunther or the Big Show?
Woo!
Yeah, I mean, only one of the other.
I would take a chop from Gunther, not happily, very begrudgingly. I would take a chop from Gunther because the only fact that, like, I feel like Big Show's hands are double the size of Gunther's.
Yeah, and that's saying and Gunther's sounds more painful, which is like insane.
Big Show's the reason why Kofi has that like concave chest.
Oof,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, his chest wasn't always like that.
yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
Big Show that did it with the Big Show chop. So
Yeah, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna die either way, so it's just like which is gonna be the most like quick and painless way out. So yeah, I'd say Gunther's probably,
yeah,
but
it'll probably hurt from the Big Show so much that I'd probably punch Big Show in the face, and like he wouldn't be
and
able
then
to,
you're dead.
no, but he wouldn't be able to catch me, not with those knees.
No, that's well, but he had him replaced though, so we might have to watch out.
Ah, shit.
Yeah, no, so it's too bad. But all right, so that was all of Mike's questions. So
Thank you,
thank
Mike.
you, Mike. All right, speed. We are speed. Let's go to Jack's questions. He does not like this Walter Gunther character. It doesn't seem like the same guy who held the IC title for a historic reign.
Mm,
Calling Priest poor and saying homelessness is a choice isn't Gunther's character. That's more MJF's shtick. Yeah, that is true, but I feel like they had to in some way give the fans a reason to hate him because you could kind of hear them starting to finally like acknowledge Damien as a very good champion, as we've
right.
said before. So you kind of had to just go for it, I guess. So it's just it's weird, but I guess kind of necessary, I
Yeah.
suppose.
It's strange because this is Gunther's MO. He did the same thing to Ilya Dragunov in NXT UK. He did the
Yeah,
same thing to Eddie
that's true.
Kingston in Progress Wrestling when they had
Hmm.
their feud in Progress. He did the same exact thing to Eddie Kingston. So this really is Gunther's kind of MO. He likes to attack people based on based on that simple fact that again he thinks they're street trash. I think it's very smart because again people like me who see a lot of themselves in Damien,
Yeah,
took
yeah.
offense to that. Damien's from the Bronx. I'm from the Bronx.
Hmm.
We're both diehard Yankee fans, and we're both Puerto Rican. I mean, we're basically cousins at that point.
You guys are family.
Yeah, like so when Gunther called Damien street trash, I felt like he was calling me street trash.
So you're like, in my head, I want to fuck you up,
Yeah,
but I know I can't.
exactly. But again, going back, I got a direct line to Carlito.
Yeah, we're good.
He can call up Finn and Big Head JD, and it's going down. But like again, this kind of is Gunther's MO. And if you think about it, the way Gunther carries himself, he always carries himself with an air of I am better than you. It's almost
Yeah.
like the MJF stick, but he doesn't have to say it. You know,
Yeah, he doesn't have to insult every town and say they're poor
right,
and
right. But
stupid.
MJF, I'm better than you, and you know it. That's a tagline.
Yeah.
Gunther knows he's better than you. You whether you know it or not, or they know it or not, is no consequence or matter to Gunther at all.
Yeah.
It's the simple fact that he knows it, and whether you like it, that's the way it's gonna be. So I could see the correlation between the MJF thing, but again, for MJF, it started off as a uh believable sentence. I'm better than you,
Yeah.
but now it's just devolved into kind of like a tagline because there's and
Yeah.
what planet do you think MJF is better than Will Ospreay as a professional wrestler?
Yeah, please.
And
Like, come
on,
on.
on what planet do you think MJF is a better professional wrestler than Brian Danielson?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that just it does, and that's no insult to MJF. He is a great professional wrestler, a great character, and everything like that. And anybody in wrestling, that should be their shtick is I'm the best. Who wants to go into professional wrestling and not try to be the best or believe that they are the best?
Yeah, like I'm just mediocre. It's fine.
Right, but Gunther, his thing is he carries himself as he feels he's the best. Everybody else is beneath him because nobody else has the determination to change the perception of professional wrestling as something that is just entertainment to something that is a competitive sport.
Hmm.
And anybody that steps in his way, it's a lot like what we say about Swerve Strickland is that he's going to do whatever he can with his words to get inside of your head. So
Yeah.
and that's the
Exactly.
that's the easiest way to get into Damien's head because look what happened Monday Night
Hmm.
Raw. Damien didn't even say anything. He just
Nope.
punched him square in the mouth, and it was the craziest brawl I've seen in a while. It was awesome. So it's just like it works. It
Yeah.
works.
Because it's like maybe Damien does have a chance after all. I think he did, but it's like
Right.
maybe he might.
Last night was the moment that people bought the angle hook, line, and sinker, and it had if WWE had to worry about selling tickets, that
No.
would be the moment where they sold a bunch of tickets right there with that fight
Yeah.
on Raw.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, you want people to get interested in that match at SummerSlam? You got
You
it.
got it.
And also, speaking of SummerSlam, which Judgment Day member returns at SummerSlam, Dominic or Finn? I think
Ooh.
Dominic, I think, is more likely. I feel like Finn. Okay, let's put it this way: I could see both of them turning, but I could only see one costing somebody a title.
Mm.
I feel like Finn's gonna want that title, so he's gonna want to beat Damien for it. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Right.
But I feel like it'd be more likely for Dom to turn than Finn. But I feel like at some point Finn's going to, but I don't think it's gonna be at SummerSlam. Hopefully, because I still kind of want Damien. I still want Damien to hold on to the title, but we'll get to that next week. But easy answer, I think Dominic would be the one that would turn.
Right. Could you imagine if, much to your torture and your mother's and our new friend Riz, could you imagine
Yeah.
if they do a complete implosion of the Judgment Day where Dom turns on Rhea and Finn turns on Damien?
And the worst part is that could happen. It's a big 5 pay-per-view, so if they do it, it would be at SummerSlam. But
Yeah. Yeah.
please
Because I
don't.
mean, honestly, like you could do it where Damien beats Gunther, he retains the title, the
Yeah.
Judgment Day is in the ring celebrating with him, and then fucking
And
Finn just kicks him in the balls. You
that's
know?
fine.
Yeah,
I'll accept that. But
Finn kicks him in the balls. The rest of the guys are like, "What the hell is that for?" That's because I would love a Damian Priest versus Finn Balor program.
oh, I would love it. Maybe Bad Blood. That'd be a good one.
Bad Blood. This is the first time the concept of a pay-per-view can play into so much of the storylines that are happening.
Yeah. Yeah, so it could happen. It's gonna suck, but
Bad Blood with the bloodline situation, with the
yeah.
Day situation. There is a lot of bad blood within WWE right now.
So much Bad Blood. Like, no wonder they brought the pay-per-view back. They knew what they were
They
doing.
knew
They're
it.
not
Yeah,
dumb.
that's perfect.
Yeah, they're not stupid. I give them props for it. So Jack feels like Triple H missed the boat on Otis turning on Chad. He feels like they should have done a Clash at the Castle, which I agree. I think they kind of just did it and it was far too late. Also, he really feels they missed the boat on LA Knight getting the US title off of off of the prime prick. SmackDown desperately needs that mid-card belt for people to fight for. Well,
Yeah.
luckily for you, Jack, my quick little like teaser for the predictions for next week. I'm pretty sure LA Knight's beaten Logan Paul, which I'm gonna find. Okay, this is like what Mom and I real quick. What Mom and I joked about on that promo they had on SmackDown. I said it is going to be so fucking funny that LA Knight's going to beat this man in his hometown in front of everybody. And Mom and I are going to literally be the only 2 people laughing about it the whole time because Logan Paul's from Cleveland.
Right.
He won't admit it, but it's just like, so he's gonna get the hometown welcome. We're gonna be like, oh, what the fuck ever. We don't like Cleveland anyway. Like, it's a Pittsburgh sports thing, but it's just like, yeah, sure, whatever. So we're gonna love the fact that LA Knight hopefully beats him in his hometown. That would be fantastic. But I feel like you kind of have to now.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah, because again, back to what Jack was saying, SmackDown desperately needs a title that's not the world title to showcase on the TV program. Because look what Raw is doing for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah,
they have that.
exactly.
They have that title right there. SmackDown doesn't have that title, so that's a big reason why I want LA Knight to come away with the win. In terms of Otis, I mean, yeah, you could have did the turn at Clash of the Castle. It would have been fine. My thing is, you saw the reaction Otis got on Raw, but the thing was they were in his hometown, like they were in his home state. So there were massive amount of Otis supporters, which was great.
Yeah.
Which was great because like it made you feel like, okay, Otis has something there. But then you factor in, okay, these are his home crowd people. Now let's see what they can do next week, and see if the next week's crowd that has no correlation to Otis's hometown, home state, whatever. Let's see if he gets that same reaction again. If we can do something to garner that same reaction for Otis. If we get it, then we got something there.
Yeah.
You know, that's the whole thing is like if we can get if we can duplicate that reaction, that means there's potential to do stuff. You could do I really don't want them to use Xavier Woods because I think I like the
Yeah.
stuff that Xavier Woods is doing with the Final Testament. But
Yeah.
if Otis and Tozawa are able to find someone else that they can team up with the album, I think it would be great to do a 6-man tag match.
Yeah.
No, Creed brothers, Chad Gable, Otis, Tozawa, and somebody else. I think.
Well, those 3 have more important things to worry about right now. Like,
Well,
the White Six getting
oh,
involved,
and
like
that was insane. That was now see because the big thing with the Wyatt Six was how do we make this spooky stuff work in a wrestling sense, and
yeah.
and they just showed okay we can make this work in a wrestling sense. And
Yeah.
shout out to Bo Dallas because not
Yeah.
only does he look like his brother, which is completely weird, Bo Dallas
Mhm.
looks like he was jacked to the gills, like he's been working out, taking the AJ Styles vitamins.
Yeah,
Because
literally though,
yeah,
and that Sister Abigail was clean.
yeah, oh, it was perfect. It was perfect because and again, Bo Dallas is doing things that you're like, okay, is this Bo Dallas or are you guys fucking with me? Because that's Bray
Yeah.
Wyatt. Like when they did that thing a couple weeks ago where he was in Adam Pierce's office
Oh,
and
that was so creepy.
yeah,
Oh my
and you get the
god.
quick zoom in, and you're like, "Holy shit, that's Bray!" And you're like, "No, it's not," and it's just like,
No.
"Oh my god, what is happening to my eyes?" Like, you know,
Right? It's messing with you a little
it's
bit.
messy. I mean, but he was so fond of his brother. Like he
Yeah.
truly, like it's not a character thing, or it's not a to be a gimmick. He really looked up to his brother, and he wanted to be just like his brother, and a lot of people don't get that opportunity. They want to be just like the heroes, but they never get to do that.
Yeah.
Bo Dallas, whether he's trying to or not, is doing not only what his brother would do, but he's doing his brother justice.
Oh, he absolutely
You know,
is.
so
Like, they know what they're doing.
it's a beautiful thing, and Wyatt Six will always have a supporter in me.
I completely agree with that. It's must see every week,
Definitely,
no matter how creepy it is.
it's very creepy.
Freaks me out every time, but I still want to watch. All right, so WWE has more women's tag teams now than ever, but still feels empty of contenders, and the champs have only wrestled in like one match since they won the titles. There's a great division to be had. Yeah, they still haven't cracked that code yet, have they?
Yeah, it's weird because we went months ago. We were like, hey, you know, the women's division needs bodies, especially if they have tag team title belts that they're trying to actually use that have been cursed
Yes.
since they were born. They went from not having enough bodies to having a lot of bodies. Now you got Caden and Katana. I call them the Rave Girls or Casey Squared. You got
Yeah.
Alba Fire, Isla Dawn as the champions, Jade and Bianca. You got now you got the whole faction of Shayna, Sonya Deville, and Zoe
Yeah.
Stark. I don't even know what to call it. I don't even want to mention what Twitter be calling that group.
I've seen it and it's
Yeah,
made me
yeah.
laugh, but I think they're more worried with damage control though. That's the thing.
And damage control as well. But I mean, again, like I whatever. I mean, I like the idea of those three together. It works because
Yeah.
Shayna and Sonya come directly from the MMA background, like
Hmm.
one in the same, and it just fits. It's just it feels like the Twitter jokes, which I can't. You can mention them. I can't.
I I'm good. I'm good. I'll let them go. Like I'll just let everyone go try and find them and find
they're,
it's just
they're, I,
wild.
I was like, am I supposed to be laughing at this or? But
Yeah,
like,
I'm laughing at them, so it's like
like
it's funny.
but it's like there are a lot of groups that you can work with. And I feel like they actually are trying now because even though
Yeah.
you don't see Alba Fire and Isla Dawn in action, you do get a glimpse of them on Raw every week with the titles. So it's
Yeah.
not like you can forget the titles exist because they remind you every week. Uh,
Yeah.
it's just we're in a situation where WWE is moving chess pieces and trying to put the chess pieces in the best spot to get the biggest reactions. Sometimes
Yeah.
you can get those big reactions on Raw, SmackDown, but a lot of times they're trying to maneuver those chess pieces so that the goal is that you get the biggest reaction on one of the big pay-per-views like SummerSlam in a football stadium arena.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's the same reason why they didn't pull the trigger on Braun, and everybody's like, well, why didn't they give Braun the title? And why are they waiting, you know, to do it at the stadium show at SummerSlam? And that's how you make all the other shows secondary. That's not true. That's not true.
No.
How can you look at Monday Night Raw that just happened and not say that was one of the hottest Monday Night Raws this year?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the pay-per-views are supposed to be bigger than the TV
Right.
shows. That's kind of how that works.
And,
So it's like,
they're bigger than the pay-per-views are bigger than the shows, but there's no sacrifice. You don't.
well, and also and Money in the Bank is not one of their major pay-per-views.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Everyone tends to forget. They call it the well, I thought they included Money in the Bank as like the big five, but you still have the big four pay-per-views. Those are your main pay-per-views. So by default, every other pay-per-view besides it is secondary.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be secondary. It's just like you kind of just can't help it. Like things happen.
Yeah, that's just the way. Again, they have to sell when they have those big shows like SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Survivor, the big fours.
Yeah.
They have to put extra emphasis on making the most money
Yeah.
because these shows, all the PLEs, the main thing is how much revenue do we bring into the city so that the city
Yes.
is going crazy to try to bring us back. You
Mm-hmm.
understand?
Mm-hmm.
That is their main goal because again, they're a corporate billion-dollar entertainment business.
They know what they're doing.
Right. This is the problem. A lot of people are thinking with wrestling brains as a wrestling fan, and they're not thinking this is a corporate billion-dollar business that their sole focus is to keep making billions of dollars. They want to stay in that billion category.
Yeah.
So again, if a city like Cleveland says yes, please come put on a show in our 60,000 seat arena, 60, 70,000 seat arena that we know you're going to sell out.
Mm-hmm.
You have to maneuver those chess pieces so big things happen on these big shows.
Yeah, literally. It's just like, guys, it's not hard to figure out, but it's fine.
You know, it's just
Yeah, literally. Anyway, do we have any thoughts on Jinder Mahal's interview / comments on the Nakamura promo? I believe Jack's talking about the interview where Jinder was like, "Yeah, they wanted me to cut a racist promo on Nakamura, and I didn't want to do it, but I kind of like had to."
right.
Which, honestly, this is a very easy answer. I'm not surprised.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
surprised. Like nothing about that surprised me because that was just Vince's WWE in a nutshell. It was like if you couldn't speak a lot, if you couldn't speak English very well, you were going to be mocked or
Yeah.
you just weren't going to be pushed. So it's just like I was not surprised
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. And the funny thing is the people are like, "Well, why didn't Jinder Mahal stand up and say I'm not going to do that and if you get rid of me, you get rid of me." Do you people know how adulthood works? Like
No.
95% of the people that have to go to work and pay bills, they fucking hate their boss, like, you know, and
Yeah.
they hate the things that their boss makes them do, but they have to do it. Not that they want to do it or they have no choice. Do you understand the economic situation that this country is in? I'm not trying to get political, but it's the simple fact that people don't
Yeah.
have the luxury to stand up for themselves and potentially lose their job.
Yeah.
So that notion just screams, "Oh, you're a jobless little kid. Like you have no
Mhm.
responsibilities. You don't know what it's like to maybe not be able to pay your bills and feed yourself." Because a lot of people who hate what their bosses do go through that exact same situation where they're handcuffed and they have to do the stupid shit that they know is wrong and it's demoralizing and it's not fair, but they have to do it because they have to survive. This is a matter of survival, and that's why it's so deplorable because it feels like Vince McMahon would exploit that survival instinct, you know, like
Yeah.
he would use it as leverage, to
Mhm.
be like, well, I know they can't afford to lose their job, so I'm going to make them do this, not because I think it makes the product better, but it's simply for my own enjoyment because I'm a sick psychopath. So,
Yeah.
and that's why he would make people do stuff like cut racist promos or make Trish Stratus bark like a dog or make multiple employees
Yeah.
kiss his ass on live TV with millions and millions of people watching. He did these things not because it made the show better, but he got a kick out of it. And
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
that's psychopathic behavior. But the idea that because Jinder Mahal didn't take his ball and say, I'm not doing that, I'm going home, and people are upset by that, it just screams like, oh, you don't know what it's like to have responsibilities.
No.
You know?
Must be nice.
Yeah, right?
Those were the days. But yeah, it's just Vince being
Vince
Vince.
me,
At
yeah.
the end of the day, just unfortunately nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we talked about this earlier. Is there a match that more people have tried to nitpick and hate more than MJF versus Ospreay? If the match isn't for you or your taste, that's fine, but I feel like the discourse around it was weird even for wrestling Twitter standards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of weird things where it's just like, oh, well, there were so many false finishes. It's like, it was an hour-long match. What did you
Yeah,
expect?
yeah.
There are going to be a lot of false finishes.
Yeah,
Like,
and there was at a certain point where even on stream, I like threw my hands up and I was like, I don't know what the fuck they could do from here on out because
it's like, whatever else you're going to do,
yeah,
go for it, I
I mean,
guess.
yeah, it was just like whatever you do, go for it. But as far as the viewer, at this point, my brain is goo. I don't know what the fuck is happening
What's going on?
because it was like kick out after kick out. And
Mhm.
it works because you're on the edge of your seat. It's not like you were bored. If you were bored by that match, maybe professional wrestling is not for you.
Now
Or,
you need
or,
to check your pulse, just make
yeah,
sure you're alive.
yeah, like
Like,
maybe the current state of professional wrestling is not for you. But if you're like us, you're a fan of everything. How could you not be on the edge of your seat going, what the hell is going on?
yeah,
I do think they could have cut it down and had the same desired effect and discourse. But again, I mean, he's right. The discourse around it was very weird. But again, like that's just a regular occurrence. That's just a regular
yeah.
occurrence nowadays, and that's why I started the Discord server. So that way, if you see another Will Ospreay match with a million false finishes, you could talk about it freely without judgment in the Ringside Rundown official Discord. How do you like
Great.
that plug?
Yeah, that was good. That was smooth.
I'm,
That was very
I'm,
smooth.
I'm on fire tonight.
Liked it. See, and this is what you get on 2 hours of sleep. Look at you go.
Let's go.
Like, this is great. What's up with the trios titles, the AEW or Ring of Honor trios titles being vacated? I don't know what the hell that was all about. That was so
Yeah,
weird. Like, hey, we're gonna strip you guys of these titles, but you guys can do it again
right.
just because Jay got hurt. Like, all of a sudden the Freebird rule doesn't exist.
Right. I
Like,
don't I
okay.
don't understand. Like, it makes more sense to just give Juice the title than to
Yeah.
strip them of the titles.
And then just if I mean, I get that your plan was to probably give it to the patriarchy all
Right.
along, but also, did we have to do it that way? It was
Right.
so
Right.
dumb. You
Right.
could have just had them lose it flat out. Like,
Yeah. Because
yeah,
because the Bang Bang Gang, and this is the great thing about it, when the Bang Bang Gang first started, I was like, I don't like it. I don't like the
yeah,
antics. I think they're too over the top. I think Juice is too over the top. I think the Guns are that's one group that flipped me. And now I'm
yeah,
I'm a big fan of the Bang Bang Gang, and everybody else are big fans of the Bang Bang Gang. These guys should be faces. These guys should be faces.
yeah.
They should. And so like I don't get it. Like you could have easily just give Juice the belt. Here's the thing: the trios titles aren't a big thing anyway. Like if the trios
No,
titles went away, nobody would care.
not really.
Nobody would
I'd be
care.
like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's almost like you would feel the same sentiment for the women's tag team titles in WWE, but even now they're giving it a little bit of a spotlight, so it's not like you can get rid of them and no one would care. They'd be like,
yeah,
well, that's kind of sucky for Isla and Alba. But with the trios titles in AEW, especially the fact that they tried to have them carry like 9 belts in total instead of 3,
yeah. It's weird.
that was dumb. That was
Yeah,
dumb. Because the idea behind that is, oh, they look cooler with the million belts. Yeah, they're
no, they
not they're
don't.
not defending each subsect of a trio's title here. They're defending all of them.
Yeah, so it's like, why are they all
yeah,
there?
exactly. But again, it would have made more sense to just give the belt to Juice, set up the feud against the patriarchy, and then have the patriarchy win. Then we're gonna take the belt off of you. You're gonna have to fight to get them back, and you're gonna lose. Like, it's just like,
Yeah, it was so dumb.
I don't dislike the patriarchy. I think the patriarchy is fine, and it sucks that Luchasaurus, or Kill Switch, or whatever his name is now, he's gonna have to work through a torn bicep.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's because everybody in the AEW is getting hurt now.
It seems like it. The entry bucks passed on to AEW,
It's
clearly.
Sky Blue, Jay White, Dalton Castle needs
Yeah.
surgery. Luchasaurus has a torn bicep.
Stay away from Britt. Don't fucking go near Britt. I swear to God.
You know, Samoa Joe is not going to be back till October because he's filming for the new season of Twisted Metal. You know, like, they're, as many people as AEW has on their roster, they're losing their key people.
Yeah,
You know,
which is not good.
yeah, it's not good. So again, it's just, it made no sense to me. Like, it makes more sense to just give Juice the freaking belt. Like,
Yeah, you would have thought. It was convoluted. Like, I never gonna understand why I did it that way, but
yeah, it's just
yeah. Speaking of also convoluted, as we all know, Jack has been a fan of Hook in AEW since day one. He's been the president of the Hook fan club.
mhm.
But honestly, if this learning tree stuff goes on any longer, since it, been happening since February, whopping 5 months, um, I think I'd want Hook to check out NXT. Yeah, yeah.
I've,
I can't say as I blame him.
I've been wanting to check out NXT for a while.
Yeah,
could,
yeah.
could you imagine the matches we'd get? Hook versus Javon Evans versus Ethan Page, Hook versus
Yeah.
Trick. There's a long list. Hook versus Obafemi.
Oh,
What?
wild. That'd be insane.
Hook versus Wesley.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like, Hook,
Just get away from
yeah.
Jericho.
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to dunk on AEW, but Hook is the one thing I feel like AEW is holding back. Like,
Yeah.
AEW is
Yeah.
holding Hook back from his greatness, and not because they don't want to be great. They don't know how to make him great.
No, because they just assume that, Jericho fixes everything, when in reality that's not the
He
case.
makes
But
things actively worse. We're supposed to
yes.
believe he took Samoa Joe out by putting him on a forklift and driving the forklift through a 2-inch piece of drywall.
The thinnest drywall I've ever seen in my life.
And I made a joke to Mike about it, and he's like, if I was there, that damn wall would have been a lot more sturdier. Like,
Yeah. Mike's like, call me. I can make a sturdy looking wall. Like, watch it.
yeah, it's just,
Um, yeah. And this next one, I'm glad that Jack brought this up because I was fucking mad about this too. Fuck the what chance during Mariah's promo last week on Dynamite, following one of the most intense angles. It's disappointing.
yeah.
You know what? Before I even just get into the promo itself, because it was fantastic, it's just, I think in a nutshell, wrestling fans can't help themselves.
Yeah.
They just can't help themselves from being stupid.
Yeah.
Because that promo, we talked about it. It's that mix of just clearly her beauty, because we've talked about it time and time again. Mom's referred to her as my crush now, because it's like, you know what? Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, right.
But it's just the beauty mixed with just the presence she has. She didn't have to scream. She didn't have to be animated and over the top and whatever. She just had to look directly into that camera, and I could not look away that whole time.
Yeah.
It was just alluring and intense, and just give me this fucking match at All In now. Like, I wanted now. It was just, and the stupid fans had to try and ruin it, but I'm glad that she recovered nicely. She didn't really like acknowledge it.
Right.
She's just like, all right, I'll let you guys get it out of your stupid system because you're dumb, but I'm gonna keep going.
Right.
And she did great.
Yeah, that's my point, is that the what chance didn't bother her because her promo still flowed together, and she didn't try to match the cadence of the what chant in her promo. She just let it flow, and she didn't stumble. There was no change in tone, inflection, or anything like that. It was a great promo. I mean, but like the Tony Schiavone bit, like,
Tony, I'm mad.
Yeah,
him and I have a problem.
Yeah, like I laugh because it's funny. Like, he said it, it's like, hey, yo, Tony, calm down. Like, I think and I'm not. This is just like a lighthearted, jokingly assumption. Like Tony maybe flipped on Raw and saw what Pat McAfee was doing, and was like, "Oh, I could bring that to AEW because AEW really doesn't give a shit." Like like we
Yeah.
could just say whatever. And then that happened. The best part about it was even like Excalibur and Taz were like, what the fuck are you doing, Shivani? Like, are you okay? Like,
Like, relax.
yeah, it was crazy. But again, like, it's just so cool because if you only knew Mariah May from her work in Stardom, she was charismatic. She brought a lot to the show with the group that she was in, and she was a fantastic professional wrestler. Here in AEW, she's still that great, fantastic professional wrestler, but you
Yes.
see that she is great at character work.
Oh
She
yeah.
is fantastic at being a gimmick, at being a character and elevating a character and making it work. So I'm really excited to see this new direction that they're going with. What are they calling it? Glamorous or something like that?
The
The
glamour.
glamour. Yeah, I really like that idea that they're going with. I'm interested in
Yeah.
seeing what Tony's gonna do in terms of revenge.
Yeah.
What I would
Oh.
like to see is Tony comes back for revenge. Mariah May has a trick up her sleeve because eventually she knew what was gonna happen. Tony looks like she's in trouble, and then
Mhm.
she gets a surprise assistance from Jamie Hayter.
Oh, I would lose my shit. Oh, I'd be so happy. I hope that happens, but oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I also saw one too where it was funny where it was like it was whoever was on Twitter was like, now Tony needs to come back as a different decade of movie star.
Ooh.
Someone said bring her in on like the 80s and have her come into All In in Wembley on a motorcycle or something. And like
Ah.
I would love that. I would fucking die. Like she just keeps going through different like eras
Yeah.
of movies. Like, oh, I would love that. That would be hilarious. And then it finally ends with her just becoming Tony Storm again.
Yeah.
Like that'd be
Yeah.
wild.
Shout out to RJ City.
Yeah,
R-
he's that man does not get enough praise for that
yeah.
because he knows his stuff.
RJ City should be, and I told you this in the DMs, RJ
Yeah.
City should be, if there's a creative team for AEW,
Yeah.
RJ City should be in every single creative meeting because that man has the ability to pick up. You could just tell because he's so smart. And if you watch AEW, you realize how
Yeah.
he is just the most quick witted person in professional wrestling. Like it just comes
Yeah.
naturally to him. So, and you need someone like that in a creative setting because those are the people that if you present an angle, an idea, creatively, he can pick apart it and make sure that continuity makes sense in the whole entire thing. And the simple fact is that they created a wrestling angle based off a classic black and white movie.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that's mind blowing.
It's crazy. And people picked up on it too.
Yeah,
Like they knew.
yeah, and
Like it's insane.
but for me, once Tony Khan let it be known that it's because of RJ City, I was like, he's a fucking genius.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? As soon as I heard that too, I'm like, I fully believe
Yeah.
that. That did not surprise me in the
Yeah.
least. It was gotta give it to him. He won't get his AEW graphic. He said it props on Twitter, so
Yeah, the best thing was somebody posted a comment on Pretty Deadly's TikTok and they were like, "Yo, you look like RJ City." And the guy from Pretty Deadly was like, "I had to Google who that was. I'm
oh,
crying." And RJ City replied, his reply was, "You had to fucking Google me?" Like,
that was so rude. It was so mean but funny.
I love RJ, man. I would love to just like spend a day hanging out with RJ City.
He would be
It would
hilarious.
be
It would be
great.
a wild time.
It'd be great.
Alrighty, so Jack's last question, or comment, he wasn't sure about Hangman's new music, but it hitting when Swerve was in the ring was like the clock ringing high noon in a Western movie. Not sure his old one would have had that same effect in this situation, especially with this being like the unhinged Hangman.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see them go at it again. Yeah, it's growing on me. At first, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't really know,
Yeah.
but it's getting there. But yeah, that moment, I'm like, oh, this is like the drama.
Yeah, I'm with you in the sense that it's growing on me because his original theme, like, it fit him like a glove. It
Yes.
fit him like a glove, and it gave you that vibe that was like, oh shit, this is a big star. Because to me, when AEW started, Hangman Page was the guy I looked at and went, he could be AEW Sting. He
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
the guy to carry the flag. He should be AEW's first world champion because he's a fantastic professional wrestler. He's young, he's charismatic, he's someone that everybody can believe in. It doesn't matter if you're a blue collar guy, if whatever, you believe in that rough sort of cowboy shit aesthetic. It fucking works. So the idea to put the belt on Jericho because you wanted more eyes, like, I get it, but Jericho's that guy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it should have been Hangman, and really happened to be because, like, when he comes out and you hear that music, you know, like, cowboy shit's about to go down. But again, the new stuff is cool, but it's just gonna take a lot more time for me to get used to it.
Yeah, I agree. But I, like Jack said, though, I cannot wait for these two to go at it again because it's going to be
Yeah,
wild.
it's the best thing about AEW because their rivalry is just like it's him and Swerve's rivalry is like on site beef. You know,
Literally,
it's
literally.
like Tom and Jerry or Peter Griffin and that chicken and Family Guy. It's just like no words. We're scrapping it out.
Yeah, we're duking it
Yeah,
out. We're throwing hands.
yeah.
All right, so that was all of Jack's
Thank you,
questions.
Jack.
So Jack, thank you. Let us go. All right, so we got Mom's last questions. We're almost there. We got five
Oh,
more. That's
we're
it.
making
We're almost there. You can get your sleep soon enough.
it.
What was our favorite moment from Raw? Dominic making Liv cry.
I don't
Like,
buy that. I don't buy that she was really crying.
there was a theory on Twitter where someone was like, yeah, the reason she didn't like start because I was waiting for her to start like smirking when they like kept showing her like walking away. Someone's like, yeah, she didn't stop crying because they're just playing it up until SummerSlam. They're just still trying to like keep the ruse
Yeah,
going.
they're not.
I'm like, ugh.
Triple H is not going to give it to you easily.
No, but I did find it funny because you just saw Rhea sitting back there like, all right, I see how
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
But I'm just
Like,
like,
and the stuff that Dominic was saying in Spanish, that because
yeah,
I speak fluent Spanish,
you do.
he was not saying some nice things.
No, I saw the translations and I'm like, oh
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
okay, like,
he was not saying
damn.
some nice things. Like, he was saying some words that only my mother was allowed to say when I was a kid. So, like,
Yeah, so it's like, okay, we're really going
yeah,
there
yeah.
then. Damn. But yeah, no, that was my favorite because it was just like, it was just nice to, it was just fun to see. As Team Rhea, it's nice to see Liv cry, so it was fine.
Team Rhea, as long as Liv doesn't do that twirl thing.
Yeah, but still Team Rhea, regardless, it's fine. All right. So who gets the next monster push, and why is the only answer Zelina Vega? I mean, like, I hope so, because oh, poor Sonya and Shayna and Zoe. She just
God,
mowed those three down
she
like it was nothing.
she I've seen a lot of roast and a lot of people get
Yeah,
roasted. She threw about 200 bullets at them in a span of 25 seconds. And
yeah. And then Shayna was like, you know what? I'm just gonna break your wrist for that, and she did.
she
So
and
I'm
she
like,
did. And I love
yeah,
the fact that they're doing the thing where, oh, she's using the arm brace. You know, she used it against
yeah.
Zoe to get the win. I love the fact that they gave her the win. I love the fact that they put her, like, they're maybe trying to get her a little bit away from the LWO and align her with Caden, Katana, and the Bird Lady Lyra Valkyria.
The
I
bird lady.
call her the bird lady. She's great. I love
That's fair.
she's definitely probably like one of my favorite up and comers because she's so
Yeah.
freaking good. But that's besides the point. I just love the fact that it looks like, see, Triple H and company are way more receptive to what the fans want. We're not, as fans, we're not always going to get what we want, and we're always going to think we know better, but we actually don't. But if we
No.
present a good idea, like, hey, Zelina Vega probably deserves to get a little push or get a little spotlight, Triple H
Yeah.
is more receptive to that idea and like, oh, you know what? Maybe you're right. Let's see if we can make it work. And they're starting to figure out how to make it work. She's a great wrestler because of the fact that because of her size, she's not supposed to be great. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
she's not supposed to be as good as she is, but she's great. She's constantly evolving in the ring. She's
Mhm.
constantly picking apart and using things that her husband uses that makes him great.
Uh-huh. Pick up the head from
Yeah,
on the
she
ground with
does.
the
Yeah,
foot.
she does the black mass wind up. She does the
Yeah.
back elbow, the flashback
Yes.
elbow. It's
Mhm.
beautiful. She has the charisma, the confidence, the swagger. Like you're not gonna be able to roast Zelina Vega because she's gonna dismantle you and make you cry. Like
Yes.
so it's just like
Yes, exactly.
so it's like your mustache, Shayna Baszler's mustache is always mustache. Like it's just like it was insane.
Like, "Okay, let 'em, they're already dead. Come on."
Exactly. It definitely gave that vibe, and it's cool. Like if the people believe in someone and they have a logic behind believing in them, and they band
Mhm.
together and they try to get this person in the spotlight. Triple H
Mhm.
is gonna look at that and be like, "Hey, if the people want it, why aren't we giving it to them?"
Yeah, Dakota Kai.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to make this point. We have to exercise patience. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. We all want our favorites to shine and do great and everything, and that's why they're our favorites. But in the grand scheme of things, again, chess pieces have to be moved so these things make sense. It can't go back to the way Vince McMahon will do it because he used to
Oh
he
god,
used to
no.
do the thing where they're like, oh, the people want it, do it this way. He would purposely set up people to fail
Oh,
so
yeah.
that way in the fans' eyes, oh, our idea to help push this person was a bad idea because they couldn't get the job done. But it
Yeah, insulting the intelligence.
right, but it was basically because Vince McMahon, if he didn't see that that person deserved the push, but he couldn't deny the people voice. He was like, well, we can make the money off the people real quick, but I don't want to see that person in the spotlight. So make the money and move them out. So he would essentially set up people that he didn't want to see push. He would set them up to fail to make them look like they were incompetent and they weren't ready for that spot. Triple H does not do that. He, like I said, if the fans get behind someone and they make a lot of sense as to why they're behind that person, Triple H will look at that and go, if we give them what they want, we make money.
Yeah.
It's such a novel concept, not just for wrestling, but for business and capitalism as a whole. If we give the people what they want, they're more inclined to pay the price to receive whatever the thing is and use it and like it. But we have
Yeah.
to give them what they want. Give the
Yeah.
people what they
Yeah.
want.
Please. I'm
I'm
asking nicely,
I'm about to
please.
go Batista mode. Give me what I want.
Give me what I want, please. Oh, God. Someday, as I continue to collect dust, but it's fine. Alright, so obviously, as of this recording, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, will be back in the ring,
Mm,
and going against Sheeta of all people.
love it.
When Sheeta laid that challenge out, Mom and I were watching, and we sat there and we're like, "Oh shit,
And and, and,
okay,
and shout out to Sheeta. She really
yeah,
worked hard on her English,
yeah,
and man, like she just a simple dedication to learn a different language and to try to you're in a different culture, you're mainly by yourself, you're lonely,
yeah,
and if you have to travel back home, you got to do it 16-hour wait to be on a plane, to be able to do that, to entertain the people, and to be dedicated enough to say, hey, I'm going to better myself and learn English because it'll make me better at my job, not because I feel like I have to, but it'll just
yeah,
make me better at my job. I think that's the reason even today, when Sheeta comes out, she gets a big reaction.
Oh yeah.
because I remember the reaction she got for the match at Wembley, and that
Mhm.
that reaction kind of gave me goosebumps because she's not like she doesn't have the presentation like an Okada or a Nakamura where a lot of people knew how great they were right off the bat. She literally came into AEW. Not a lot of people knew about her, but they saw what she did in the ring and they were like, oh, she's pretty cool. And then that Holy Sheeta thing took off, and,
Yeah.
and then she's in London of all places, and the place is going crazy. Giant Holy Sheeta signs. I thought that was really cool. But again, for the match, I think it's fantastic because instead of going the Mercedes Monet route, where
Ugh.
8 promos in one match, they're like, all right, let's put Britt Baker in there. This is a big test for Britt Baker. And me as a fan, as a viewer, what I'm looking for is what I've said from the beginning. I want to see that intensity from Britt Baker. I want to see that
Yeah.
snap, that quickness. I want to see her move in the ring where it doesn't look like she's wearing cement shoes. I
Yes.
believe she can get it done. And again, Hikaru Shida has built herself up to be one hell of a professional wrestler. So you're in there with one hell of a professional wrestler. On paper, it should be a great match. I'm really excited for Britt Baker because I just feel like you look at her and you look in her eyes and she has a different fire in her.
Oh yes. She's out to prove why people wanted her back in the first
Yeah, yeah.
place. Because people could have easily, like she said, people could have easily forgotten about me, and that was like one of her big like worries was, oh, my music's gonna hit and no one's gonna give a shit that I'm back. No, we cared.
Oh, they went crazy.
I definitely cared. Like
They went crazy. And it was just like,
it was insane.
it was like, to me, it gave me that vibe. Like when she came out, it was like, oh, the bitch is back. Like, watch out. Like,
Yeah,
like she's going to go crazy.
exactly. So I'm looking forward to this match tomorrow night. I will be seated for it. We'll most likely be talking about it. But yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Who is our dream dinner date? I'm assuming it's a wrestler, and she already said not the obvious answers, so
We can't
I
do the
figured.
obvious ones.
Well, which is fine because I already have one. Joke's on her. Baron Corbin, because that dude knows his food.
So you want Baron Corbin to cook for you?
Well, no, but like he would know where to go.
Oh,
Like he
okay.
would know the good steakhouses and like all that fun stuff. Like he seems like he would know what he's doing.
That's a
So
very good point. I didn't even think of that. I'm thinking
eh.
not necessarily like a romantic date setting,
No,
no,
God
but
no.
but like I'm thinking, dinner, hang out, talk. But
Yeah.
Baron Corbin's cool. But of course, if I'm gonna have dinner, I'm gonna I'm gonna bring a pretty lady with me. So
Okay.
I couldn't we couldn't use the obvious ones. We couldn't use Rhea, Liv, Mariah
Eh.
May, all that stuff was unfortunate. So I picked out two women that I'm big fans of. I like
Mhm.
what they're doing, and they're like every single woman in professional wrestling right now. WWE AEW is drop dead beautiful. Look like they've made out a lap, so that's not even a problem.
It's not even fair.
I actually picked two ladies from NXT.
Okay.
All
All
right,
right.
so my two picks: one, Jakara Jackson from
All
Metaphor.
right.
I
I can see that.
I
Yeah.
I like her,
Yeah.
because she reminds me of the girls that were in high school that were
Mhm.
kind of uppity and stuck up, but
Yeah.
I was so good at making people laugh that those girls liked me
Oh,
as
yeah.
a friend. So I feel
Yeah.
like Jakara Jackson gives you that vibe where she's like, she's not a girl that you want to approach.
Mhm.
She's not very approachable, but I think I can crack her and make her laugh. Um
That's a good point. Good choice.
and another one simply because I'm just blown away. Fallon Henley.
Oh, yeah.
Fallon
Yeah,
Henley.
yeah.
What match? It was the Heat Wave match because it was the first match where like she's this new heel character and things like that. She came out in that outfit with the jacket and the cowboy hat, and my mouth just
Yeah.
dropped, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Holy shit! This woman is money!" Like
Mhm.
this is a money look right here. You could put her on Raw, you could put her on SmackDown, and just the look of her alone, you got something there. You know, you
Yeah.
got something there. But again, the crazy thing about mainstream professional wrestling, mainly AEW and WWE, is not only are these women drop dead gorgeous, beautiful, they look like they were created in a lab, but they can kick your ass. Like,
Yes. Yes, they can.
so you can't pull any funny business, anything like that. I would love to go on a dinner date with those ladies because I think I can make them laugh and have a good time.
All right, then those are good choices. I like
All
those.
right.
I love how we went two completely different
Yeah,
ways.
I was not expecting you to say Baron Corbin, but
Well, because I wasn't looking at it as like a romantic date. I was just looking at it as like, okay, he's gonna know the cool food spots to go to. I'm always looking for cool food spots to go to, so it's
nah, but
like he would know.
I wouldn't make Baron Corbin cook for me because I don't know if you've ever seen like his TikTok
Oh, his
or anything
yeah,
like that. That man can throw down in the kitchen.
yeah. The stuff he makes, I'm like, damn, I wish I could do
Right.
that. I probably could, but I don't have the equipment
Right.
for it. But
And the
still,
funny thing is not, now he's like he's dieting and stuff like that, so he can't eat a lot of carbs, so he can't eat a lot of pasta. But this dude even like he's such a beast that like cooking meat and things like that. He's a
yeah,
beast at like making pasta dishes. And he
yeah.
can't eat them, so he just makes them to give them to his wife and kids.
And he's just like, here, I guess, like
Here,
take
I
it.
can't enjoy it, and it looks incredible. Like this dude should, if he for some reason decides, hey, I don't feel like doing this wrestling stuff. He can easily be a food influencer. He can be a chef.
Yeah,
He'd be great.
easily.
Yeah.
So those would be the ideal dates.
Man,
We'd have a lot of fun with
Baron
those.
Corbin, that was crazy.
Yeah, see, you weren't expecting
Yeah,
that one.
I wasn't.
No.
Uh,
All right, so we're finally finishing everything off with a story that I was told specifically I had to tell on this episode
okay,
about so my mom and I, every time she's over at my place for the weekend, always likes to watch Judge Judy. That's like one of her favorite shows.
nice.
So she somehow, I don't know how she did it. It was probably when I wasn't looking, it's set to now every time Judge Judy's on TV, it automatically records it. So she'll come over and there will be like 12 to 13, even more, like 20 whatever episodes of Judge Judy. So we just kind of have to like watch all of
Oh
them.
my god.
And this one episode was these two, like, I don't know, one of them was like 12 and another was like 13. These two girls, like, the one mom was suing the other mom because the kid broke the other one's like laptop because they like threw the bag in like school or whatever. And so the thing was like, you know how Judge Judy is. She's like, okay, so what happened? And the one that broke the laptop was like, well, she was like trying to explain TikTok and like viral trends and whatever. And Judge Judy's just like, what does any of this even mean? And the one kid, I guess, that the girl was talking to was like doing like the whole yeet thing and like throwing everything. And so Judge Judy's like, yeet, what does that even mean? And so the girl had to explain, like, oh, it's like a TikTok thing, whatever. And so the guy came up to me and he's like, you should like yeet her bag. And so I did. And for like the last like 10 minutes of that case, Judge Judy's just like repeatedly saying yeet. And I'm just sitting there like, Judge Judy of all fucking people is saying yeet, and it just made me laugh because it was like making me think of Jey Uso. So I'm just
Oh,
like,
okay.
Judge Judy saying yeet is just like something you never thought you'd like witness on TV, let alone just like in general.
Could you
But
imagine Judge Judy walking Jey Uso out to the ring?
could you fucking imagine? That would be hilarious.
Holy shit! Could you imagine an interaction between Judge Judy and Jey
And,
Uso?
I mean, if anyone could get her to laugh, it would probably be Jay. So I could believe it.
The
But
moment Jey Uso calls Judge Judy Oos, I'm losing it.
oh god, you fucking imagine.
I'm
Oh
losing it.
god. It would be so weird to see her out of like the robes though, that I'd be like, wait a minute, she wears like regular clothes. Like
Yeah,
what's that
yeah.
mean? But
Fuck,
yeah.
fuck this jelly roll at SummerSlam. Bring in
Oh
Judge
god.
Judy. Ah, you got to sit through a jelly roll performance.
I don't want to.
I
Like
I can mute
can't.
that shit.
I
He
cannot.
seems like a nice guy, but country music isn't my thing. I'm sorry.
It's never been
It's
my thing.
never been my thing.
So when I saw that was official, I'm just like, Fuck.
I would
God
I
damn
would
it.
gladly take Flo Rida over Jelly Roll.
I would take nothing, but if yeah, I would pick anything but that. And I'm just like, when are they gonna throw this in
Yeah,
there? Like,
but
whose match am I gonna feel bad for that has to go on after that because the crowd's dead
oh my god.
because of that shit?
Yeah, but Judge Judy coming down to the ring with Jey Uso.
That's better. I would much
Oh
rather have
my
that,
god. That
but
would
we can't have
her
it all, I guess.
her
So.
her wearing the Yeet glasses with the Yeet
Oh my god, with
t-shirt.
the shirt, like, oh
Oh
god,
my.
doing the like yeet thing, like oh my
It,
god, I can't.
it's a good thing I'm not in charge and I don't have Tony Khan money where I can blow money on appearances like that, because that would be something I would do, you know?
That would be
Yeah.
hilarious. It would just be like just for your own personal enjoyment, nobody
Yeah,
else's.
yeah, I would literally pull a Vince McMahon and be like, "This is for me."
This has nothing to do with this
Yeah.
pay-per-view or nothing. It's just I want to see this happen.
Forget you guys, this is for me.
Fuck you guys, like
Like,
oh, Judge Judy. I just,
what a
so
way,
yeah, that was
like episode 124, we're ending it talking about Judge Judy.
who would have thought?
What?
Not
Oh
me.
man, we've come so far.
Right, this is and right at the 2 hour mark too, nonetheless. So
Ah, wow, what a show! I mean, every
yeah,
week I feel like, oh man, this is my favorite episode today, and my
literally.
my delirium episode tonight is probably
Yeah.
my favorite one.
You did pretty
Yeah,
good. You didn't go too off
I
the
didn't go,
rails, so
and we talked about Chris Jericho, amazing.
I know. I'm just like, wow, you really are
We
tired.
we
Didn't do anything.
exactly, we had to talk about Chris Jericho and Hulk Hogan in one episode, and I didn't lose my
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, literally though.
I
So
lost it. I've lost my edge.
you're,
I've lost
you're
my
losing.
smile. I'm Shawn
You,
Michaels. I lost my smile.
yeah,
You know?
we're losing.
Yeah, but one thing that will definitely make me smile is that if you're listening to this podcast, you will subscribe to this podcast. It's
Yeah,
available on all major podcast platforms, wherever you like it: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, all those places, plus more. If you use a certain platform and can't find it on there, hit us up on social media and we'll get it to you. We're available on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at the handle at Ringside Rundown. You can also check out the stuff we have going on YouTube and TikTok. YouTube is basically like an all-in-one hub. It has full episodes, episode highlights, and clips from the streams that I do. Almost daily, the YouTube is getting updated. So you definitely
yeah,
want to check that out if you want to keep in touch with Ringside Rundown content. You can follow YouTube, youtube.com /at Ringside Run Pod. Like I said, we're on TikTok. TikTok handle is at ringside_rundown. And like I said, I do live watch along streams for all WWE and AEW programming on Twitch, twitch.tv/ringside rundown. So you can check us out there. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
after all of that, I can't top any of that. But if you want to see all of my tweets about God knows what that day, you can find me on Twitter at Shaylin Hickson
There
21.
you go. There you go. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be a part of this community that I'm trying to grow of wrestling fans that are free from tribalism and fake social media engagement, if you want to find like-minded people that enjoy professional wrestling and want to talk strictly about professional wrestling, join our official Discord server. Don't worry, I'm going to be posting the link all throughout social media and on this post for the podcast. But if you can't find it and you need an invite link, just DM me on one of those social media sites. Like I said, on Twitter is the best place to reach me. Twitter
Yeah.
at Ringside Rundown. Shoot me a DM. Say, hey, I want to join the Discord. I'll shoot you over the link, and there you go. So shout out to all the people that have actually joined the Discord and have been active within the Discord. It's really awesome. I thank you guys so much for the support. We thank you for the support.
Yes.
It really means a lot to us. Real quick about next week's episode. Next week's episode is going to be a SummerSlam exclusive episode where Shay and I will give you our predictions for SummerSlam. Now, if you want to send in questions for SummerSlam, you can still do so. However, make sure your question does not deal with what is our prediction for a match or what is our prediction for the matches. It could be anything about what's going on in SummerSlam, but don't worry, we got the predictions covered. We're probably going to cover that in the beginning of the show. So don't worry if you want to send in a question and it's about SummerSlam, next week is your chance to do so. Send us in a question about SummerSlam and we will answer it, and we will also give you our predictions. So there you guys go. You have an exclusive for what's going down next week's episode.
See, we've never done that before.
Yeah, we're like growing as podcasters. You know,
we really are. Yeah. It's only taken 124 episodes, but we're doing it.
We're finally getting our act together.
Yeah, after like 3 years.
Yeah, right. So again, thank you for everybody that's listening. Don't be afraid to get in contact with us if you want to talk wrestling or whatever. And we thank you for listening so much. For Shay Hickson, my name is Erik Vasquez. Thank you guys. Talk to you next week.
See you later, guys.